District
that
6
position?
area engineer.
And I don't want to
District
spend a whole
six
bunch of
area
time on
engineer.
this,
Area
other stuff to do, but I think it's just important to
She was at a long time.
share.
Now she's at Arnold.
Yeah. Getting retirement? Well, yeah, but she retired from the state, right?
This guy, you guys had a good weekend in downtown, huh?
That was cool.
Oh,
I wanted to do anything, just decided I'm gonna answer the.
Yeah, we hosted the first ever.
Melody Lake is on CC.
Yeah.
my wife has had the library, everything about it.
Directions to Melody Lake on CC.
What a
We're
great
ready.
asset. Oh, we're ready.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know where that
Okay,
is.
let's go. Sorry, wasn't paying attention. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Thank you for getting here this morning. I wasn't paying attention. I guess I should still do the announcement of the meeting, so it gets on the record. This is the Washington Area Highway Transportation Committee.
15.
It is August 29th, 2022. And Gina, do the roll call, please.
Craig Miller.
Here.
Tim Brinker. Chad Briggs. Jeff Niemeyer. John Milges.
Here.
All right, first item is the approval of the minutes for the previous meeting. And I have to tell you, all the stuff that I said last time, it made no sense. I was chattering, I was going in all directions. So I apologize for that, and hopefully you guys could see through that and whatever. But anyway, any changes or corrections or whatever other than my flubs?
I move they be approved as submitted.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
I was going to delete half of them. Anyway, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Amtrak, take it away, Craig, you got some info.
I got a little bit. I did include, we had a MORPAC meeting August 10th. I included in our packet most of the materials that came from that. If you look through those, great. If not, I'll just talk a little bit about what they had to talk about. There was discussion about budget preparation for fiscal year '24. They run June to June, I believe. And primarily what they're looking for are inflationary adjustments. They got a budget approved that they think they liked this last time, and they feel like, there's not, other than, minor adjustments, that they should be able to continue. They're looking at just positive trends in ridership and getting the 2 trains back and kind of post-COVID stuff, so they were pretty confident that a simple budget adjustment for inflation should be good, and they think they should be able to get that passed. So there's some real positivity and just a lot of thankfulness for what they had gone through in recent years with losing some of that budget and getting it back. They're continuing a revenue study just to see long-term viability for passenger rail in Missouri. They're in the middle of that. There was some presentation from some college students about improving ridership for college students and for their parents and things like that, but also just a larger presentation about what they're doing with that revenue study, which is just to see, how they can get more people on the trains and what that price point needs to be for people to do it, and continuing discussion on reliability of those trains. And, in order for people to want to ride them, they have to be in their neighborhood and they have to be semi-reliable. So that led into a little bit of a Union Pacific report. Obviously, we run on their highway. They acknowledged a lot of construction delays and things like that really affected on-time performance of those 2 trains. And they were below their 80% goals. It's funny to me to watch that, and they say we have a 80% on-time performance goal, and you don't think that would work in most industries, but when they can get that, things seem to go a lot better for Amtrak, but they were below that significantly toward the beginning. But you could see trending in the reports that I sent out that they are getting better. They had a number of construction projects that got in the way of that, maintenance mainly. And they do have upcoming rail siding projects that are investment projects for them along the River Runner line to help them pull aside to allow Amtrak trains to get through. So they identified, heck, probably 10 of them in their presentation. They might do 3 of them, but they are looking to spend like $70 million, I think, trying to get rail siding projects working and trying to help with that on-time performance. So it was positive, I guess, to see them working together, which is good. My takeaways from that MORPAC packet that I seem to be doing better, and they'll kind of match that with the revenue study. And they're continuing to address, like a lot of industries' staffing issues. So Amtrak's come up with an apprenticeship program for maintenance and for other workers, things like that, which is good for them, and they seem to be trying to address some of those issues as well. I think that's most of what they had to talk about at that meeting. I did reach out to our Union Pacific person that was there again. I still haven't heard back, trying to get some information on just general things that Ray's asked a number of times about with regard to freights and trains and how many we're seeing and and they seem a little reluctant to share that, but I got a new contact, so again, it's just gonna be, I keep tabling it, but.
Community on that rail. And I think when people are sitting there waiting for it and they wanted to get out because they spent too much time at the river, I did that the other day at yoga. And it's nice to know that keeps the country running and keeps us going. And so those numbers are something I'm going to use positively.
Yep, I will pass it along. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Bill, real quick, give an update on the actual train depot itself. Wayne, Parks Director, and myself had a meeting with Amtrak a couple weeks ago. 2024 is their target date to do new loading and unloading improvements at the depot. ADA compliant improvements. They're going to redo the pavers, add a larger loading area between the caboose and the tracks, which will make it easier to get people on and off the trains, and then upgrade some of the parking around the depot as well. So it's a pretty big investment. The city's coordinating with them because it actually matches up pretty good with our Front Street ADA improvement project that we got STP funding for. So we're trying to marry those projects up so they're all done at one time rather than have some big, long, drawn-out construction on Front Street. So.
There's an effort to rehab the, what they call what building? Freight depot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's people going in and out with ladders this morning, so.
Is it? Right. It is, good. Started last week. Well, there's a tough beginning part in there. And I go back 30 years or 25 years ago when the chamber was looking at it to help them out. And I took the time to crawl underneath that thing. You wouldn't want to see what was underneath there because it was a dirt floor and it was pieces of wood that kept getting higher and higher as they put them underneath the floorboards to keep the floors from sagging. And I remember at the time, my comment was to do with it is to donate it to the fire department and let them do a test burn, and we'd all be ahead. That's just my opinion. So there was a lot of work to be done on that building, and I think it's going to be reflected, but it's still going to be it's going to be nice. So I reflected on that. Probably could have kept my mouth shut on that one too.
Well, I think we're lucky you were wrong.
I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. Anything else for Craig? Hearing none? The bridge, Steve, anything new?
The only update we have is the city is acquiring that remnant parcel on the west side of the bridge. We have all the survey work done. We've coordinated that with MoDOT's right-of-way people. The city has passed their ordinance to get that acquired. We did see the signature from MoDOT side, so I think all this takes now do whatever we deem is best with the property, which I don't know what deems best means right now, but there are some concepts out there, so more to come.
But it's yours or the city's with no strings attached.
There's some easements and things on it, but yes, correct. No strings attached. We paid for the easement, which I believe was around $2,400, just the right-of-way work. So,
What about the lights? We straightened them out yet?
Are we in warranty yet, or?
we are not, and I'd have to
I
defer to
texted the
MoDOT.
RE this morning and didn't get a reply, but just looking for an update.
The city does not own them yet.
Okay.
Maybe we should talk about owning them ever
We should charge the contractor rent for our lights.
I'm kidding, Stephen.
I know.
You can't. We won't let you.
I mean, there is excuses with the water going up and down in the river, and it's taken a while, and they're trying to get barges, and they're trying to get COVID, and there's a lot of excuses.
There's a lot of things getting accomplished throughout this state. That is a minor thing comparatively.
And I'm trying to get an
We
update.
need to take it seriously, not just send them a message at 8:15 in the morning is the day of the meeting and stuff. We need to be on every day. They don't
I sent it at 6:30 in the morning.
I agree with Tim, it's ridiculous to go on and on like this.
I'll let you know if I get a text.
Very good, thank you. Anything else on the bridge? Hearing none. Corridor committees,
I have no report.
have they met recently? Do you know, John?
What's that? I'm sorry, I
Have
didn't
they
hear.
met recently?
I didn't hear what.
Have they met recently?
No, the corridor committee has not met since, I believe, the announcement by MoDOT to put it in the STIP.
All
So,
right.
and I'm not sure how that affects Union's project or anything, so.
Okay. Transportation, or Franklin County Transportation Committee.
We have not met since our last meeting either. The next action item at the next meeting would be to vote for the 5% grants. That's probably the biggest item at that next meeting. The city did put in an application for that to offset some of our construction costs that we're seeing, increase in construction costs due to inflation, those things, so.
I keep bringing this up, but is there any more information on the new gas, or the taxes that are gonna be coming in, the new ones?
No, we did check, I did, after the meeting, I was unsure if we were actually receiving some of that revenue, and I forget what the word was that Joe used. It was a good word, it was our block money, I forget what you called it. It was a good. Yeah, so it's coming in, but it doesn't come in as like a separate line item. It gets blocked in with all the rest. So it's very difficult for me to figure out how much of that percentage is coming in. And the best way I can describe this is we used to have a funding source that went away in 2019 called non-attributable 80/20 money. It went away in 2019. That brought in approximately 150 to 170,000 of 80/20 money that the city would not have to compete with other entities for. That went away. And it was similar from what I could see as far as that. So I would anticipate somewhere in that 150,000 number is what the city would see in additional revenue as part of that block money that comes in anyway. Does that make sense? That's just my best estimate, but it does not get line itemed out for us.
Counties are gonna get 15%, just like the cities are gonna get 50%, so. Anything on your side?
It's up a little bit, it's,
But it, yeah,
so it's fuel,
You know, those numbers, when they were,
it's all about the gallon used or down the price per gallon, so regardless, you get more tax. So it's up a little bit, our cart money, that should be.
cart money. That's
hard money, yeah, that's it.
It's up, I think last time, it's up like 7 or 8% for the year, but all of that is not that 15% either.
Right, it hasn't kicked in yet, that's what I'm thinking.
It's in there, but they don't break it down for you.
You know, those were some huge numbers when they were trying to get the tax issue passed, but the one before the one that actually got voted on or whatever. Those are big.
You'll see a bigger difference in 5
Yeah,
years.
as it gets into the system a little deeper. Okay, I hear what you. But I'm surprised they don't identify it separately. That's, because it was.
Well, they're probably trying to prevent another layer of tracking / work and keep it lumped, and it's easier to just change the levels versus.
My only reason for bringing it up is that was unallocated funds coming in. They were not figured on spending them. It's new monies for new projects possibly. And it was substantial, I thought, what was gonna come in as a result of those funds.
Is there any idea how that compares to the money you lost in 2019?
It's pretty similar from what we could tell. I mean, again, around that 120. But the issue that we have right now, and everyone has, I don't want to speak for the county, but just the cost of doing business is substantially higher, that you can't, it's a drop in the bucket. I mean, you're losing ground on buying power anyway. So it helps, but it's not that we can do additional projects per se,
That's what I was getting at.
which everybody's experiencing that for the obvious.
Anything else on the county? Jim, anything else? Good spot to do anything? Whatever. No, not at this time. Okay, 50/50 MoDOT grants.
Yeah, we left this on there, if you recall. It was put on before MoDOT announced the potential STIP going down 47, that the city would look into extending 4 lanes to the south to our east-west parkway. In addition, doing roadway work by the new Oldenburg Industrial Park. That's where those dollars came from. So, or where the, not dollars, that's where the agenda item came from. So when MoDOT announced that, and we also had a request from a developer along Highway 100 that wanted to do a traffic study along 100, the city looked into teaming up with that developer to study 100 westbound all the way to the western city limits. We have done that. Lockmuir Group is the entity. The beauty of using them, they did the 47 study, so there's some cohesiveness there between entities. They did a good job, I believe, for the county. And then also, Lockmuir is part of the group that's doing our comprehensive plan. So the city's also going through a comprehensive plan right now. So there's cohesiveness in between the entities doing the study. That was the concept. They are probably, I know they did their traffic counts. They've expanded the scope a little bit to look at 147. That was not part of this. This was High Street to the west, but they've expanded that. They had their traffic counts. They're 50% through the study. We are working diligently with them to get that study done so we can then utilize that to apply for a 50/50 grant through MoDOT DED's section for Olden. It's
That's how,
well,
this is similar.
it's 50/50 unless you have a signing business or entity, industrial
Yeah.
entity involved, then it could go up to 100% paid for. So there's a lot of different facets that are working at the same time to try to leverage those costs.
Most of the intersections through Washington were done this way, correct?
A lot of them.
A lot of them, yes.
Pottery Road, I believe, was.
Yep. Pottery was, Studerman, yes,
100 to 44 was.
Yes.
I mean, that's the biggest one.
yeah, good.
So we're just trying to get the studies in place so when these dollars become available, that we're ready to go as fast as we can.
You know, not to put a finer point on the studies, if you can get them to look at the intersections on Highway 100, on the new 100, going east, T and V, M, whatever, those intersections, are they being?
Yes, Stephen has
No,
its own.
MoDOT's got something going on.
Yes.
We've had a consultant do a traffic study on that stretch. So now we've got the results. Now
Oh, you
next
do?
step is we'll have public meetings to talk about some
Good.
alternatives.
Great, good, I didn't know that.
We've studied that entire
Got it.
stretch, from I-44 to Washington.
Okay, good, that's
That's
great.
not, that's not public yet until you go out to public meetings.
Right.
Okay, good, that's done, good, process. Anything else on that? Not hearing none. Warren County. Hey, guys. Hey, Jeff, morning.
So, I've been a little bit since I've been to one of these meetings, but as far as Causeway, there wasn't any project that made it into the STIP. There is a study to look at 47. It's not necessarily, I know there was some stuff floated around about a causeway getting built between 47 and 94. This is mainly looking at 47 itself on how to reduce flooding along 47. So that's kind of what's actually made it into the STIP, just a study at this point.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Who's doing, do you know who's doing that?
We haven't let it yet, so I'm still working on the scope. That's why I don't know, you know.
When you get that, could you just share that with us, who's doing the actual study?
Okay.
Because there's some concepts and some ideas that maybe could assist that.
Okay.
So,
But yeah, just let me know if you got any questions on that, and I'll work with you. So, like I said, I think it's 2026, so it's a ways out yet. So,
Yes, that's what it is.
but
To
that's
do the
what
studies.
that's the update I got on the causeway. As far as other things going on Warren County, you guys might care about, we are overlaying Route TT. That's supposed to be done in August. Well, it's pushed back to late September now. So just kind of giving you an update on that. That's all I got.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
One thing, how was that function up, while you guys here, Jeff, on this past weekend as far as 47? I mean, it's really, really rough. We went to a church Sunday, they're complaining about that. Is everything on the books on 46?
Next year.
Next year, we're about into the bad spots now.
We've been out patching them.
Because that's really, I mean, 47, you know how bad they are. So I just want to, 47 from Washington, at least to Warrenton, at least that, the flat spots are horrible. So I just want to bring that up, so that's on.
Joe, did they do anything about some Katy Trail connection painting on the shoulders for bicyclists coming off of Washington Bridge? I mean, we had talked about this a long time ago, particularly.
No, we-
I have not.
That's so.
We met with Boonslick, Sal and I did 2 years ago, probably now, during, it was COVID, just looking at different ideas and concepts about how to make a connection happen. I think Ray put some sketches together as well.
Yes.
And the city, we're willing to work with whatever with our property to get it done. But since the announcement of the Rock Island Trail, and I think that it was in that Washington would be the connection location, that's the most obvious connection location. There's not been much conversation about it since. When you look ahead to what makes sense, a connection on a levee maybe makes some sense, things like that. So we haven't done any other work with that, though.
I was just talking about the bicycle path, indicating where the people should go. And I know there's directions and whatever.
No, we haven't done anything with that.
Not at this time. There's a lot of traffic over there. I mean, as far as, the Katy Trail itself, it's
Yeah.
quite busy.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of Boonslick, John, I'll let you know that Chad did resign, and actually I left 2 more interviews this afternoon, so hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have somebody.
Cool.
So,
Oh, he's been there a long time.
on that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay,
that's one of our things. Appreciate it.
all right, thanks, Joe. Washington Special Road District?
We're working on South Point Road with the city, and KJ Unerstall got the bid, and he has started, and John might be able to.
Yeah, we're putting a 12-inch water line in off to the side to loop the water system in the Stonecrest, provide a secondary source of water into the Stonecrest Fairfield subdivision. That's a 12-inch water line. It's welded pipe, so reduces the number of joints, those type of things. So we're trying to alleviate those future issues with water lines, those type of things. It's a pretty big, a 12-inch water line is a pretty big water line for us. So KJ's doing the work. It is shut down. Traffic is being somewhat routed through the Stonecrest subdivision. We did get some, the radar trailers are up in Stonecrest to try to alleviate some of the, traffic concerns, maybe speeding. The biggest user of South Point, Regal Dairy, we've coordinated with them. They're going to use Beaker out to 47, so we're trying to just get everybody spread around the closure. The idea, I think, there was to get it closed, get it built as fast as they possibly could, get it open back up.
Yeah.
So all signs point of a good project.
I don't know where else to ask this, but now there's been a road or an entryway. It looks like it's being constructed past the church on Highway 100 right there. Is that going to be go right around to South Point Road, or
no?
Is that going to be a new entrance? I guess first question.
Yeah, what we understand is that the property owner has a residential access break. That it is not a commercial access break. That is not in the city limits. So I don't know how that came to be, but. That's what we understand, it's just a residential access break. We did meet with the individual, because we would be interested, obviously, in working with them if it, to be a future entrance. But I did not get any testing results from the concrete. We didn't do any inspection, those type of things. So at this time, we would not accept that in the future. So.
Steve, you probably can answer the question better than anybody, the access to the
Here, I can
highway.
show it to you.
How did that occur?
Well, they got a permit to do the work.
Yeah.
So, our permit inspector approved it. So, are you talking about the one by the bridge?
I'm amazed that it's not limited access highway through there.
Yeah, he went through the proper steps. So,
Is he gonna?
It is
abandon
limited
the other
access,
one?
by the way.
Is there other entrance? Is that how that works?
I'd have to ask.
There it is.
It's just connected to that property, not intended to go back through to, I guess, what, the Beaker side? or-
I would not know that, but that's what I've been led to believe. And again, I think they have a residential access. I think that it's a very heavy-duty residential access, is what I understand. It's overbuilt for a driveway. How's that? But no, the city has no, it's in the county. We have no jurisdiction. And again, we've worked with the developer or the owner, I guess, to see if there was any options for, future connection, but they, at the time, were not interested in talking.
Yeah, I was just surprised that that wasn't condemned when Highway 100 went through. I know most properties lost their ability to access, but this one must not have.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know how it came to be, Ray. I apologize.
But it's not a city street.
I don't know. It's not a city street.
However you got it, you got
That's
it.
the big question, yeah.
Yep.
Smart to get it when he did. Old Highway 100 Bridge,
It's still on MoDOT's schedule, and they're aware as far as maintenance. We're all just kind of coordinating. If we get a call from anyone, and I think if the county does, we forward those to MoDOT, Gray Summit, and they move.
We've patched it recently.
So just limp it through till 2026.
Right.
and you guys continue to inspect it, I assume?
Yeah, it gets
Every
inspected.
2 years. Every 2 years, I believe.
Yeah. Very good. Next item, airport.
Yeah, airport. The hangar project is still slated to get going here pretty soon. We have not, I think we have 90 days to accept the low bid. That low bid was KJ Understall out of Washington here. 8, 10, and 12, with 10 and 12 being the alternates. City Council has chosen to not take the alternates and build the minimum 8 per the contract. The reasoning for that is we have some future funding opportunity that we see that we need to have some cash on hand to meet our minimum investment into those. So keeping that cash on hand is very important, I think, for the city to make sure we can pivot if federal funding becomes available. The project has got a long lead time on the steel buildings, as you can imagine. And our consultant is meeting with the FAA, actually they should have met last week, to discuss how much monies that the city is going to have to put into this. It appears that some of the COVID money would be eligible for this through the FAA, and that we will be getting some of that. So the actual dollar numbers that the city is investing into this is going down. Our own money investment into it is going down. Hopefully, that number could get down to approximately $175,000. So we could look at only putting in $175,000 of our own money, our own city-generated tax money, to that $1.9 million airport project. So between our entitlement money that we get from the feds, the St. Clair Airport money, and then some additional COVID money, we could only be looking at spending $175,000 of our own money. That is a huge deal.
Wonderful.
So I'll have more to give the city council once I actually know that. They were meeting last week, but I have not got an update as of this morning.
So how's that $3 million securing coming from the state possibly?
It is through, that's from the feds.
Feds,
Yeah. So it's through what I understand Senate appropriation, so $3 million. We asked for 6.4, I think, something like that. It's a 500-foot extension. Senate approved 3, and it goes to the House. They can either choose to go up or down, or all around, whatever it is. But we don't know when that's going to occur. Sal said his best guess was probably spring, we would know. So if 3 is the number, you got to come up with 3.4 million, right? So that's why it's important that we hold on to as much cash as we can, because if we have I think we have $1 million allocated in capital improvement sales tax, so $1 million to 3.4, you're a third of the way there. So that's the overall airport kind of strategy. And that would be a 500-foot extension, which would get a higher class, jet in, which is important. As far as operations go, we hired an assistant airport manager. He's, I don't know, on the job for 8 weeks now. He has fueling capability. He actually came from the Air Force, so he knows how to fuel planes. And Kevin's just getting his feet wet and make sure that we can serve the customers over there to the best of our abilities. So,
Good. Sounds like you got it. We got the money coming to us, hopefully, and you got a plan. And the council's in favor of it.
yeah, everything points in a positive direction here. So,
Anything on Team Track,
no report.
East-West Parkway?
Yeah, the High Street extension, which is part of East West Parkway, we are still awaiting the box culvert design. If you recall, the city is paying to complete about 600 linear foot of roadway to get to the formerly Marquardt Farm. That would include a box culvert underneath the roadway. Part of that development agreement would require the developer to connect Autumn Leaf subdivision to High Street. So that's all being worked out right now. Plans are probably 70% completed. They're just waiting on that box culvert design and then final cost estimate. But it's budgeted, so as soon as we get that, I would think that you would see construction sometime this winter, dirt being moved, pipe being set, that type of stuff.
Fantastic. Growth is in the picture. Public transportation? I don't think there's anybody here. We almost could, you'd take that off the agenda, maybe. Anyway, any other business?
Just real quick, some other connections, roadway connections. The city is also looking at doing a connection from North Crest Drive, which is Vernacey Drive, as it goes into Phoenix Center, and Rabbit Trail Drive. If you've been reading the paper, the intersection Rabbit Trail, Phoenix Center Drive, and 100 has been, had some concerns. It's concerns about near misses, those type of things. So one of the solutions would be to add an east-west connection to try to divert some of that traffic from your larger block of residential, which Lake Washington area, to your larger block of commercial, which is Phoenix Center. That would include a bridge, box culvert type situation. We had a meeting with the property owner. We believe that we have secured the right-of-way for that, and the alignment is essentially set. We have an engineering firm designing the bridge or the box culvert right this second. In addition, Rabbit Trail to Beaker is also under design right now as well, and I would think that construction would start sometime late winter into spring next year as well. So in meeting with the Stonecrest subdivision, we believe we have their support as well, so it seems like this is all kind of falling into place. We could be looking at the end of 2023, having those two connections made, which is shown on the city's comp plan. So those are two really, really large connections that increase fire protection and then also make sure that there are alternate ways to move in and out to get from the south to Highway 100. So a lot of positives.
Very good.
Hey, Bill, I got one thing, if you don't mind.
Yo, go ahead.
On other business. On September the 7th, our county was chosen to have it's the wall that heals. It's a Vietnam veteran wall that's coming. It's going in 33 states throughout this year, and we're chosen. So anyway, on September the 7th, we're going to meet at the Elks parking lot in Washington, and they're going to have, it's not a parade, it's going to be an escort with motorcycles come through Fifth Street and go up to Warrenton. And actually, we're going to be on the radio a little bit, but from the 8th to the 11th, if anybody has time to go see it, it's quite interesting. We did the virtual tour last week. They got a 53-foot trailer. The wall's 360 foot long. It's quite impressive. So on September the 8th to 11th, if anybody has time, please come see it. So
where's it at exactly?
It's going to be at our ball diamonds. It's on North 47 towards Hawk Point. It's going to be at our ball fields. And, but it's 24 hours a day from that Wednesday through Sunday at 2. You're going to have taps every night. It's pretty impressive. So if anybody has time.
I'm sure the newspaper would like to get that information.
What's the date on it? Yeah, again.
September the 8th to the 11th.
The 11th. Okay.
And the 7th, I think it's at 12:30. We're coming.
The 7th. I'm like, that was going the wrong way.
And I think that Tuesday, we're going to have an escort coming through town here. So
yeah.
Anyway.
And we've been coordinating with the group the police department has. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's on 47 north of Warrenton.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty impressive. If anybody has time to see it, it's be well worth your time for sure. So anyway, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Joe. Just a point of, there was an article in the newspaper, public input requested for the 2050 proposal, East-West Gateway. East-West Gateway is asking for ideas. Tim, any comments on what the county is doing? On what we think for transportation? From East-West Gateway is asking for, give us your projects, is what I read into it. I remember the last time we had this idea of bring us projects was in 1982, and that's when most of the stuff that we got done was put into a plan. Now, I don't know whether that's the same
It was in the paper
event.
last week.
Yeah.
It was in the paper last week.
East-West Gateway.
And basically, they are looking for projects.
That's what they referred to.
But you realize that the work we're getting done on Highway 47, guess when that was approved and studied? 2002, 25 years.
You did.
I got it. I got a whole bunch of stuff that I can hand out if you guys want to look at it. If we, and I say we, the Chamber of Commerce, the City of Washington, we made a pitch. We were asked to bring our projects to St. Louis to add them with everybody else's projects. And we took everything we could figure out. We wanted 4 lanes on Highway New 100. We wanted a brand-new bridge, and we wanted Highway 47 improved to 4 lanes, all the way to, we were gonna take it all the way to Highway 70. I mean, we were shooting for the moon, as the mayor would say. But I wonder what would have happened had we not done that and come to them and said, these are the projects we want done. Is this the same situation? And only you, Tim, can ask East-West Gateway. Are you guys wanting us to tell you what projects we think we?
That's why they opened up, and that's why they seek public input, it's our dollars.
And that's why nobody saw it and nobody pays attention to it, is what I'm saying. And it's important, I think.
Bill, the day it came out, I forwarded it to the committee.
I understand. That's all you can do, but
Participate by clicking on the link and submitting their ideas. And if this group wants to come together and make a list of valuable, desirable projects, that can certainly occur still.
I think it needs to occur.
There's nothing closed on these doors.
I know.
So, yeah, but I agree with you, that's how we get stuff done, you know, we make that wheel squeak and we get the oil.
I read the email when you sent it out, but I don't remember what's the window that they're asking for these to be submitted in?
It says it in there, in that guidance.
Yeah, it says it by March 23rd.
Was it like months,
March
or
of-
was it weeks, or was it?
March of
I mean,
next
is it
year.
March of, okay.
Yeah, with a final in June of '23.
Currently, if you go to East-West Gateway's website today, currently, they actually have a questionnaire, it's a survey, things that you can fill out, those type of things. So it does not necessarily get into the specific projects at this time, but it does get into general macro things of what the region kind of wants to see. It's a little unique for us, because a lot of the things that I saw, the statistics of what people are wanting or needing, a lot of it has to do with pedestrian access, public transportation, those type of things, which may or may not be a little different than what our needs are. But anyway, it's right there on the website.
Did it appear to be limited to that, is what you're saying?
No, it wasn't limited.
Or is
to
that just what's
It just looks
came
like
in?
that's what the outcome of what the people are saying in East-West Gateway, which again is a little unique, I think, for us.
Okay, what would we put down if we were looking to 2050? What would the projects be that we think are important that we don't have already funded? Maybe we don't have any.
Oh, I don't
That's
know
hard
about
to
that.
believe, but
No. Thought about it.
I think your East-West Parkway would be one.
I'm just saying, they have a deadline on this.
And
March of '23, that's 6 months, whatever, 8 months.
I think you can come up with a long list of desirable opportunities from a transportation infrastructure perspective.
And I agree.
If you take land, air, sea, riverfront, port authority, things like this, there's a lot of opportunity that we need to analyze and put forward, I think, for the betterment
So,
of the region.
is the county gonna do that?
Is the county gonna do what? They'll suggest those projects?
Yes, yes.
Well, certainly we can, and we've got until March to do that, so there's.
I'm bringing it up because I think it's an imminent, important process. It's the beginning of these processes, and quite honestly, that's how things get done. I go back to studies that were done 25 years ago, 30 years ago, that I was involved in. And I see they got done because we identified them. Then we didn't let go of them. We didn't just say, well, oh, sorry, it's us, we didn't get it. I can show it to you. I'll leave some information for anybody who wants to pick it up regarding my pet issue, and it's a causeway.
Bill, the city is in the process of updating or doing a new comprehensive plan as well, which identifies all of our transportation needs, so.
And I think Joe is too.
Those things will be discussed throughout that process, and so, you know, we will have a list of new projects, just like we have, or we've shown recently with these connections that we've been talking about. And again, those are smaller projects, but the bigger projects, that's all stuff that can be discussed at that comprehensive plan level, so.
I'd recommend, just so we keep it on the top of mind, that we just put it on the agenda, Bill, not as another item, but put it in there for suggestions for East-West Gateway's 2050 plan.
I mean, what do we want? What else do we want for the town of Washington? But we gotta tell them. If we don't tell them, I guarantee it'll never happen.
Let's think about what we would like to have as a result of you bringing it up. It sounds like you want somebody to start writing things down and taking
I think
notes
we
of
got
it.
to,
Is
I
that
think we
gonna
got
be
to,
this?
I think when they give us a deadline of March of '23 to have these ideas of these projects forward, I can show you the stuff that was submitted 25 years ago. Bob Durkis wrote me a letter saying, hey, you're chamber president, we need to get this. And MoDOT has invited us to a meeting to present stuff to them. We did. Dan Moshman was still alive. He was then chairman of the Transportation Committee. And we made it point by point. We asked for new bridge. We asked for 4 lanes on Highway 100. We asked for 4 lanes on Highway 47. And over the course of the years, those projects got into a plan, 1992. To give you a little background on transportation, as you all know, transportation is determined by how much money they've got to spend, all right? Guess where the funding has come from in the last, why this last tax issue is so important, and it being passed, the 2.5. Before 1983, which is when the 6-cent passed tax issue was voted on by the legislature, before that, 1987 was the last time there was the only time people voted on a tax increase and it passed. In 1987, and it was 4 cents. Before that, the funding for MoDOT came from half of the sales tax generated from automobile sales. And there was a question, it was too much coming in, and actually the state was taking pieces of it, and finally they decided to give it all back to, or half of it, back to MoDOT. In 1982, the legislature passed the 6-cent thing. That gave them money. Out of that came this report of all these projects. The next time there was money added, do you know when the next time there was that people approved a tax increase for MoDOT? Was this one that was just passed by the legislature. 2 different times it was put up for voting, and it went down in flames. 2 times before 1987, when it actually did get 4 cents, it went down in flames. In 1987, they decided, give us a list of projects. They gave them a list. They gave the people a list of projects they were going to do, called it Proposition A, and those projects, the people voted on it and passed 4-cent gas tax. That's the first time people voted on any kind of gas tax, and that's the last time it's happened, too. So we just got another bunch of money. We got money now. This was the last time we got money, 1982. 15-year plan. Ended in 2017. We got money again. All these projects that we can dream of are going to get funded out of this last 12.5 cents. it's so obvious. If we don't put in and tell them what we want and shoot for the moon, as the mayor says, I can guarantee we won't get any. We won't get it. We won't get what we need. Fortunately, we got lucky with Highway 100. Highway 100, voters approved half of the cost of the cost of building the new road. But we had it on a plan, and without the plan, I don't know that we'd have gotten it. I don't know. I'm just saying, this is the proof of the pudding. This is the plan. This was 1982. And that's the last time any new money came into MoDOT. That's the key. And now we've got money again, and they've got money to allocate. So, anyway, I've got information about the causeway, whatever.
Can I say something, you guys?
Yeah.
Bill, I get it.
I know you do. I lived it. I lived it. I was involved in this stuff
I know.
for 30 years.
Every project that you're talking about, or that we've done in the past, needs an advocate, a ramrod, if you would, okay? You were a huge part of the ramrod, being the ramrod for Highway 100. Bob Zick was the ramrod for doing our bridge. Without those individuals pushing that, I don't know if it gets done. And to find an individual, a leader, you guys know how big I am on leadership, okay? It takes a while for somebody to step forward, for us to groom somebody who is willing to do these jobs. And I have to agree with Bill, we need to start now, because we're doing our comprehensive plan, and Darren and John, it gets done December-ish, January-ish, something like that. Okay? And if we haven't, Washington can't move forward on this until we get that comp plan done. And if it gets done in January, March is pretty darn close to that, as that deadline. So, Ray, I have to agree, let's put it on the agenda every meeting. Let's put it out far and wide, so a young go-getter who works off this thing can maybe respond and say, oh, I'd like to head that up, rather than in our, lack of a better term, older circles, that most of us in this room, except for John, maybe run in. So anyway, I echo Ray's sentiment. Put it in the agenda every time, and let's focus on it more. And yours, of course.
I'm in favor of anything to
Do that, and that way
identify projects, because if we don't identify them and ask for them, we won't get them. And it's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
It's MoDOT, for whatever faults they want to give them, East-West Gateway, they do pay attention to the customers, their customers, and what they want. And I found that because I sat on the board, and I actually voted on this thing as an East-West Gateway member. So the information that you can have, you can take it, shred it, whatever you want to. Basically, this is the study that was done. It was done, like I said, 2002, 2003. Basically, it's interesting. You got to look at this, because things in here that they were pretty close on their estimates. They estimated that the Highway 47 MTIA, which included the new bridge, all the way, to I don't know where it went to 47 to Union, I guess, was $153 million, and that included the new bridge. Well, the new bridge was what, 64, and they're talking about 87? They were pretty damn close. This is 60, they figured 153, and in 2007 dollars, it was like 160. They weren't very far off on their estimates. And the location. All these studies have to have locally preferred alternatives. Every major project that has come up has to have 3 options. When they did our new bridge, there were 3 options. We're going to go east, you can go west, or you can put it right next to the one that we got now. And they have to study it. They have to get, the people have to have bought into the idea by letters, by whatever. It was an obvious that to put it next to the old one. But in this study, the public actually said, don't tear down the old bridge. We want to save it, okay? Until MoDOT says, okay, it's yours, now you maintain it. It went into the river. It literally got taken out. But the sentiment was to keep it and use it for whatever reason, bike paths or whatever. So again, this is the study that was done for 47, and it's 30 years later, 20 years later, whatever it is, 30 years later, and we're now getting it. That's how it takes, that's why this is, I think, that's why they're using 2050.
Yeah.
It's 25 years from now. That's my, I get on this thing and I was too close to it.
Let's put it on the agenda.
I agree.
I think we all got to see what happens. This river is unpredictable, okay? The last thing you guys and we want is to spend $6.7 million and get this brand-new, airport all up, and then we get a flood year, and we got 8 foot of water inside the airport. Do you remember, Ray? You probably remember more than it. Actually, it tore up the flooring, tore up the airport mat, when it came through. Last thing we needed, and it's in here, here's the statistics, I can show you. You want to see what the river does? I got the stuff. I said, well, that's not going to happen. It's going to happen.
Period.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's a matter of time. But do you want, Jody, you going to be on the line and say, I'm voting for $6.7 million, and oh, by the way, if it rains real hard for the next 3 months, it'll be underwater, an 8 foot of water? And the people that, most of the politicians that come into this town come in by aircraft. Blaine Littkemeyer, the governors. Sam Walton wouldn't have chose this town as its first Super Walmart store without being able to fly his old airplane and landing in Washington. That was one of his criteria, as I understand. Bill, you probably remember that better than anybody.
Yeah.
So the airport's very important, very important.
It's vital.
It's vital. And yet we're leaving it unsecured by not pushing, getting this thing done. It's two different, you got East-West Gateway over here, and you got Bloomsbury Regional over there. It's in their jurisdiction. But if we don't do it, it's not going to get done. If we don't push it, the airport's not even in our general area. It's not in East-West Gateway's area. It's in Boonslicks. So East-West Gateway doesn't care whether it gets any funding out of it.
Too many studies and no action.
But you got to use the studies when it's appropriate, when you can do it, when you can say, guys, you told me we're going to do this. Not to hold it over their head, but they don't remember. I got a letter that I just handed out to everybody. I didn't even know where to put it. This was one I had contacted Kit Bonds, I think. Was it Kit Bond? Whatever, I gave you guys a copy of it. I contacted his office back in 2002, when I was chairman of the Transportation Committee for the county. They talked about a $3 million allocation, much like the $3 million that Littkemeyer and Roy Blunt gave to us. They didn't give us, and I think, Mayor, you even mentioned, they gave us that money as seed money so we can figure out what we wanted to do with it.
That's exactly what it is.
So now we got to take, yeah, we'll got something to do with it. We got to stop this, get it out of the floodplain. What do we got to do? That's what we got to do. And we'll all look good. They'll still want to land their airplanes there whenever they come to Washington. They like coming to Washington. $30 years old, 20 years old.
I have an update on the lighting. They said, "We met last week with all parties involved. Alberese and Gerstner are putting a plan together to analyze every single light fixture to identify any issues and bring the barge back in town. The plan is to be back on site in the next couple of weeks doing the troubleshooting."
Very good. That's keeping it on the agenda and pushing it up the line. That's it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Steve.
thank you.
I don't have anything else. I've got copies if people want to take it with them. Recent crests on the river. It's interesting. And then you start looking at it as mayor is saying, wait a minute. There's something more to this.
All right, I would make a motion to adjourn, and we all think about this and see what direction we want.
And let me, and,
I agree with
and
what
do
Bill
take
said.
this information and just,
Yeah.
if you don't want to look at it, you don't care, that's okay. I just gotta,
Occasionally.
I'm tired of shuffling it around and not. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Can I have copies?
Absolutely, I'm gonna make copies.